Hello everyone, welcome back. And I'm so happy to see that this channel already got 2 subscribers. Yay! Thank you so much for your support. I know 2 subscribers is not that impressive, but we just started, right? And so thank you so much for your support, and this really motivates me to continue my journey and produce better and more useful tutorial in the future. And I know in the this channel is in the early stage, and in recent video I will go through a Flutter course in the study with me format kind of video. The topic is slightly more advanced, and video can be lengthy and maybe boring, but I indeed plan to produce better video in different level and more coding tutorial. And I will also share my story about how I became a software engineer and how the work is like, and share the real life code. And let's continue. So as I mentioned, in this video series, we are doing the complete Flutter course, and I add all my video into one playlist called Study With Me Complete Flutter Course, where I'm following, this is my channel, I'm following Code with Andrew's course for the Flutter Foundation course. And in the previous session, we went through the, let's say we went through the code overview, UX design, responsive design, localization, and navigation. Today is the module 2 navigation part 2, where we are going to do this part for routing. Now let's go back to code, and I will go through a quick overview about what we did last time. So in Flutter Navigator 1, we usually go with this way: navigator.off contact.push material page route, and with builder. And we covered what's the limitation for Navigator 1, and for Navigator 2, we have better capability for web routing with different path parameters. However, the Navigator 2 is overly complicated and error prone, so we are using, it should be on the app. So material app.router, this is from Navigator 2, and then there's no home screen because we put all our routing logic into the router config, where we add we use a third-party package to config the routing logic. And in this project, we use the GoRouter, and we discussed why we are using it. It's really good, and I'm new for this package. So yeah, this is the code for last video. So we add a GoRouter object. We initialize. We add an initial location, which is the default option. But here's the interesting part. So first, the routing is like one layer after another. So from home page, and then you go on top of the home page. So it's a subroute to go to a new page, which is this shopping cart screen. And this path will be chart. Remember, it's chart. It will not be a slash chart because we already, this is built on top of the main route. So that's the main lesson from last video, and here on the separate screen as usual, I will open my iPad for the video content, and you can also listen, and we will go through the next session. So the next session will be we will be talking about the this is Flutter Foundation course. Let me see. In Navigator 2 for routing by path versus routing by name. Listen.
In this lesson, we are going to learn about routing by name, which is a useful GoRouter feature that can make our routing code more robust. So let's go back to our router.dart file. And the idea here is that for each of the routes that we have defined over here, we can give them a name in addition to the path. For example, we could call this home, like this. And this allows us to navigate to a specific route by name rather than using the full location like we do over here. And as we will see, this is particularly useful.
So he means instead of so we have one route path slash, and we can give the path a name home, and this will be useful for us to refer it and easier to recognize. Let's continue.
Dealing with routes that take parameters, making our code less error prone. So for now, please just take my word for it that navigating by route name is better than navigating by path. And one nice thing that we can do at this stage is to define an enumeration that will contain all the possible routes that we are going to support. And as we are about to see, this will give us some additional type safety guarantees. So for now, let me undo this. And then we can go to the top, and here we can define an enum app route. And then inside it, we can define a set of values. And we're going to call these home, cart, orders, account, and sign in, like this.
Okay, so we are going to add an enum for app route. Actually, they already wrote. So, or we can have more orders, account, sign in. Great. Yeah, we use similar structure, and it's a good practice, because if every code you write this kind of string, anyone can have a typo. I say home, and you don't see any errors, and you can refer from this page to home, from another page also to home, and then you have a error. So the compiler will not show the error if it's a string value on the path. So when we define a name, so it will be less error prone.
Then inside our GoRouter, we can find this GoRoute over here and add a name argument with a value of approute.home. But of course, this is an approute enumeration, and we can't assign it to a string. But since that's 2.15, there is an easy way of getting the name of an enum, and this is exactly what we are going to use here. And we can also do the same thing for all the other remaining GoRoutes, like this. And we can do the same on the orders route.
Oh, he add. I think I missed some code, but it's okay. So so under the home route, we have a route parameter, which is the list of more routes. So we add a name to home screen, and we also add a name for great. And And in the code, he already added all other pages for all the other routing, and I will just copy paste for each. So the first one is so we have one chart, and then an order. We just change the name order, but the path is orders, and here will be dot orders dot name, and of course the material page. So we all use the material page. This is as I add on the notes, a customized navigation. So we all use the customized navigation in this one. Interesting. So on the orders name, of course, we will need to change this into orders list screen. Orders list screen, like this. And we need to import. Yes, great. And then we have account. And I guess it's the same. We add the name. You can type along, and I know I'm typing slow, so you can just skip this session and do yourself. Account. Great. Do we have more? Account, and then we have sign in. Yeah, we have a separate screen called sign in. After account is sign in. Sign in. Sometimes we have sign in and register as two different screens. I'm not sure what this one will be. See, you get error because we have a typo. The in is a capital letter. Is this also capital? And let me see the code here.
And the account route and the signing route, like
Great. Good. Sign in. Material page. The page name is email, password. Oh, oopsie. Email, password, sign in. So he didn't implement social sign in this project, but it's very important. There is a form type for this, and it will be interesting. Let's see, what do this address mean? Dot sign in. Really? Oh no. Okay, first let's import. Oh, we have a typo. Oh yeah. Great. And then this is a named parameter, so we have a form type. Basic. So I understand. So this page will be used for signing or dot register, I guess. See, I'm correct. And yeah, we don't need another one for now. And save. Let's continue. Listen.
And then we can save this file, and then we can get back to the home app bar and find our code for navigation.
So we go to the home app bar, which is where is it? Home. Yes, app bar. I didn't run the app. I ran before and it was gone. So we already select Chrome. We can just run the app. So you can see everything is still working. And now let's continue with app bar. Great. So in the app bar, we have mashup, the hard-coded, which we mentioned before. It's a very, very good way to organize all the hard-coded string. And on action, as you can see in the app, you will see on action we have a list button, a bar, line 44. Yes, yes, here is. Why is if and else? Let me see. So we don't need list for now, so we are talking about lead app bar. I see. So here we are saying the screen width is medium query on the assumption that the widget takes up the full width screen. If not the case, yes, layout builder can be better in this case, I think. So width screen with the whole screen, we say if the whole screen is smaller than this one, and we will have this action with a more menu button. And if it's big, right, we will list all the app bar action. Oh, so we need to change all these. So this, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So when we click this, we see two more, or we make it bigger. We see there's with all three buttons. And here is our three-button action text button, which is our customized widget. And we have a key for orders key, and we have a text and unpressed. So here's, instead of the long code, we can just say context dot go order. This will be slash order. We don't even need to refer this order screen. That's great. So we can delete all these, and we need to import the GoRouter. Look at that. And then again, it's the same for this one. Context dot go, and this is one go account. And we have one more. Yeah, should be here. Oh, we already changed this one, remember? Yes. And I saved the previous code as well. So that's great. Keep going.
Here we can replace this line with go named, like this. And instead of using a string literal directly, we can type uprouter.orders.name. And in order to use this, we need to import uprouter.dart. And then we...
I think we missed a lesson, so basically we missed this lesson, but it's a short lesson. I guess it's okay. And so we already have this code from last session, and this session we are changing to name the route instead of path. That's why instead of doing this, what he suggests we should go for context dot go named. And what is the name? It's app route dot order dot name. So I think I have a typo. So in his code he used rename. He used app route, not app router. So let's change to be the same. It's longer, but it's safer.
Do the same here and call go named. And instead of hard coding the location, we can use approute.account.name. And we can do the same thing here as well. And as you
didn't see the sign in. Okay. We change the copying card. This one is easy. But he has a code here saying, and somehow I don't have, did I mistakenly deleted those? Probably, because they're saying if user is, so we have, yeah, I think I somewhere made a mistake. And here we say if user is not no, we do this, else we say action text button sign in, and we have a key as well. I'm not sure where this key is used, so this key will be more menu button dot sign in key, and we don't need this or this. What's happening? I think, you see, I guess there are something, somehow it's all gone. I think, okay. See, when I save, it's all gone. Weird. Okay, because it said the operand cannot be no. The condition is already removed. So it's asking me to remove, but user is no. Let me see. Where is user? User from here. Yeah, we will fix this. We are using a tag. But because of my IDE, when I click save, it automatically fixed all the warning. And we don't need this to, we want to keep the code for now. So it's all good. Unpressed.
And instead of hard coding the location, we can use upRoute.account.name. And we can do the same thing here as well. And as you can see, the advantage of doing this is that we get useful code suggestions, and that makes it a lot harder for us to make mistakes. So now that we have changed this code over here, we need to remember that we need to apply the same changes to our More menu button widget. So over here, rather than using context.go with signing, we can use this instead and import upRouter. And we can also use GoNamed over here and over here as well.
Okay, so in the More menu button, where we have unselected, we have switch option case. The pop menu option. What is the option? The option is these three. Great. So here we use item builder. If it's null, if user is not null, we render lead orders and account. If user is null, we let them to sign in. And so we have sign in button and unselected. So this is pop-up. This is Flutter pop-up menu button. So unselect, we switch option, and we say if it's sign in, we don't want lead. You see, it's very long. Yeah, every time you have to repeat such a long one. So if it's sign in, we just use context the go name. Cool. And you just import the GoRouter package. Why I still have, we also need to import our app route in for the same as order, where we just say contact dot go named. Name will be same app route dot order dot name, and we also change this one will be same contact dot go name. Yes, we don't need this name parameters here. That's perfect. See, when we save, the Flutter will run hot reload, and we will see everything still works. We go to slash chart, and it's a customized animation pop up from the bottom, which is cool. And then we got orders, and we also see in the debug console, we can see the console log account, because I already signed in. Oh, cool.
Once again, the benefit of this approach is that all these route names are now type safe, making it hard for us to make mistakes. And another important thing to mention is that sometimes you have to deal with deeply nested routes, like in this example. And if you use the Go API, then you need to be careful that each sub-route is spelled out correctly. But if you use named routes, then you only need to pass the correct name, provided that you have defined it inside your enumeration. And another benefit of this approach is that if you want, you can change any of the paths inside this file without having to modify any of the routing code in your widget, because all the route names are encoded inside this enumeration. And hopefully you should now start to appreciate the elegance of the GoRouter APIs, because you can define your entire route hierarchy inside one file. And for each route, you can define a custom path, name, and page builder. And all you have to do in your widget is simply to call context.goNamed with the route name that you want to take. And GoRouter takes care of everything else for you. Okay, so before we move on, there is one more file that we still need to update, and that is the shopping cart icon file, which is used to show this widget inside the app bar. And as you can see, this code over here still uses context.
This one. And yep, and the final change. So what he means is using this is, although it looks longer than this one, but there's a lot of benefit. Let's say if you want to change the chart route name, and if everywhere in the code you write something like go/chart as a string, and then if you want to change this, or you have to change maybe 5-10 times. But with this approach, all you need to change is here on one place, and all change this. If you have any other path, say a path to render an asset, it's a good idea to do the same approach.
.go with a hard-coded string literal. So let's update this to call context.go named like this. And here we can pass upRoute.cart.name instead. And of course, we need to import this. Okay, so let's continue on the next lesson where we will learn about working with parameters.
Nice. Let's continue.
Now that we have covered the basics of routing with GoRouter, we are ready to look at some more interesting use cases. And one of them is about how we should handle the case where we open the product page. And this is an interesting case because we should always show the data that corresponds to the product that was selected. And
talking about this one, the home page, you click a page, click one of the product, ta-da. What you want is to have a product ID something. So if you copy this URL, send to anyone else, it will render the specific page. Otherwise, if you do right now, if you send this link, you see the link the same as the home page. That's not what we want. We go to home page. We want to go to the specific product page, and that will be a parameter. How do we do that? Let's see.
if we take a look at how the product screen is implemented, we can open the product screen file, and inside this widget, we can see that the product ID is passed as an argument. And then inside the build method,
okay, search for this one. This is the product screen, which will take a product ID. And we have a to-do here for read from data source. Product. Yeah, we get an error warning, and because this is just a draft code. Let's see.
This temporary code to find a product that matches with the given ID. And once a product is found, this is then used in the rest of the build method. And what is just as interesting is the code that we use to push this screen to the navigation stack. And this code lives inside a widget called product grade, which we can find over here. And as we can see inside the build method, we use this product layout grid, which is a widget that is responsible for showing all the product cards inside the grid. And this widget gives us an item builder that we can use to find the correct product for a given index. And then we can use this product to configure this product card widget, which gives us an onPressed callback that we then use to push a new material page route with this product screen widget configured with the product ID.
So you are seeing on the product screen, if this is null, we see no product. Otherwise, we will have a customer scrolling view with responsive sliver center, and we talked about in responsive design. And another sliver is a review. Basically, this code, this class is for this page, a specific product page, and each product has ID. And where do we refer this to? Which it will be on the product grid. Product grid chart. So in this one, so it's a widget displays the list of products that matches the search query. I believe it's linked with the home page. Yeah, so from product list screen, and you will go to the product grid. Then we have a product. Currently we use the test one, and if it's empty we say no, and otherwise we have a product grid, layout grid, where we have item builder, and this item builder will take each product, go to the product screen, and will pass the product ID here. We will also need to change this routing, and this route will be using the parameter one.
So really what we are doing here is to start from a list of products that we can show inside this grid of items, and then for each item we can get the product by index inside the item builder, and then we get the ID for that product and pass it to the product screen widget, and then inside that widget we find the corresponding product once again and use it to render our UI. And one valid observation that you could make at this point is this: why should we bother passing the product ID as an argument to the product screen widget when we could pass the product object instead, since we already have it and this is what the product screen needs after all? And in general, this is a valid argument. However, one of the goals of routing on the web is to be able to navigate to a product page given a unique URL that points to that page. And this is only possible and easy to do if we specify the product ID as part of the URL, because GoRouter will then be able to parse this URL, extract the product ID, and then use it to show the correct product page. Long story short, this code is already configured to work with the product ID that we need, and we just need to convert it to use the GoRouter APIs. So let's get back to our approuter.dart file, and inside this enumeration we can add a new route called product. And then if we scroll down inside our GoRouter, we can add a new subroute in here. And then we can specify the path, and we are going to type product/:ID. And this syntax is used to tell GoRouter that this ID is a dynamic router parameter that is passed as an argument from the outside. And then we can add the name, which will be upproute.product.name, along with a builder argument, which gives us the context and state arguments as usual. And this time we're going to open some curly braces, and inside we can type final product ID equal to state dot. And as you can see, VS Code gives us a list of all the properties of this state object, and the one that we want is called path parameters. And as you can see, path parameters is a map of key value pairs. And
okay, let me stop the video and do more typing. So, am I doing correct? Yeah, builder takes okay. Why is it? Oh, silly. So it should not have this one, and it will go here. So we add another GoRoute with a path. Then we have a name. These are useful, can be annoying whenever I move the mouse. Let's see. I know there's a shortcut. Why the shortcut is not working? The keyboard shortcut for this. Oh, maybe it's this one. No, I have to click this to import the screen with the product ID. Now we get error. State dot parameter. Let's see.
Means that we can obtain the product ID that we want by passing ID as a subscript, like this, along with the assertion operator at the end. And as you will see, as long as we always pass an ID when navigating to this route, then this value will never be null. And that is why it's safe to use the assertion operator. And now that we have this, we can just return an instance of the product screen widget passing the product ID as an argument. And in order
So we add this. So then that means the product ID will never be null because we are sure we have an ID for the key as a key in this map. I'm not sure. I understand. I'm just not sure if this is the best approach. I guess it's okay.
to use this, we need to import it like this. And now that this is in place, we can get back to our product script widget. And over here, we can update this callback by deleting this code, and instead we can type context.goNamed, and we can pass approute.product.name as an argument. And of course, we need to import GoRouter as well as our approuter file. And then we want to pass a path parameters argument, which needs to be a map. So here we can use a map literal, passing the ID as the key and the product.id as the value, like this argument, which needs to be a map. So here we can use a map literal, passing the ID as the key and the product.id as the value, like this. And now that this is in place, we can save and hot reload.
27. It should be this screen. So basically, in the grid, we type onto one of the product instead of B. Now we say contact dot go named, and the name will be app route dot product dot. Is that correct? It's not correct. So we don't have this. We have go name app route. So that's the route name. But in this case, we add a path parameters with a map. I'm surprised you have to tap the key here. And then you say product.id. And where do you get ID? This is for product ID. and save. Cool.
To test our code. And as you can see, every time we navigate to one of these pages, then the corresponding ID is set in the URL. And you will see that we have different IDs for different pages. And just to be clear, all these IDs come from this global k-test-products variable. And if we go to the definition of this variable, we find a list with all the products, with the first one that starts with ID equal to 1, all the way to the bottom where the last ID is 14. Okay, so this wraps up our lesson about routing with parameters. And what we have learned is that GoRouter gives us the ability to pass some parameters as a map of key value pairs when we navigate to a new route. And in the route definition, we can retrieve these parameters and use them to configure our widget. And when we configure things this way, then the ID will become part of the URL, following the format that we have specified in the path argument. And before we continue, I want to quickly talk about this state object that we have used to extract the product ID. And if we open the GoRouter documentation, we can find this page about declarative routing. And if we scroll down, we can find this section about the router state. And this includes this table with a good summary of all the properties that we can find inside the state object. And I recommend that you spend some time getting familiar with them, because these properties give us a common vocabulary for talking about routes. And it is useful to understand the difference between the location, the name, and the path of a given route. Okay, so let's continue on the next lesson, where we will talk about error handling.
Good. The documentation page changed a lot, so what he referred has changed, but it's still useful.
In this lesson, we are going to talk about error handling. And at this stage, you may wonder what happens if we use a URL with an ID that doesn't exist. For example, here we could use 100, which is definitely not a valid ID. And as you can see, if we try to load this, we get this exception with a red up bar. And to understand why this happens, we can open the product screen. And as we can see here, we are trying to find a matching product ID using this first where method. And this always throws an exception if a match can't be found. And this will propagate the exception all the way to our main.dart file, where we have this custom error handling code that shows a red up bar with the error details inside a text widget. So it looks like at this stage, we are definitely not handling this kind of error gracefully. But to be fair, this is one of many places in the app where we are just using some test data. And in fact, I've left this to do here, saying that we should load this from the data source rather than using a hard-coded product list. And this is something that we will implement properly later on. So for now, we're just going to leave this code as it is for this specific page, because we will have to change this logic later anyway. However, we should ask ourselves what we should do if we enter any kind of unsupported URL in the address bar and how to handle it. And since we are not handling this ourselves, what happens if we do this now? For example, by typing something like /ABC, which is a path that doesn't exist. And as it turns out, we end up with this page not found screen with an exception about no routes for the given location. However, if we want, we can customize this page by going back to our app router, and then we can scroll to the bottom, and here we can choose to add an error builder, which is a closure that gives us a context and a state argument as usual. And we can use this to return a const not found screen, which is a widget that we need to import. And this widget is located inside this not found folder over here. And if we save our router code now, and then we try.
So he said in the app router, this is the list of routes, and we add another code for here. But we already have, we don't need this. We already have our page, which is called not found screen. That's it. Why it shows error here? Error. Oh, error builder. Okay. Why it's still we must change it. See, this is the and we add to a wrong place. I should go from here. So this okay, this list refers to the internal sublist. Yeah. Now it's correct, finally. So we can customize whatever we want to say about it. So basically, if we add whatever, oh no, I thought okay, slash, it goes to Google at the beginning. So yeah, this is the one, and it's very useful. We have a go home button, and we can go back. Oh, we didn't implement this. How come? Not found. Not found screen. Not found screen. It's correct. Oh yeah, he said the body is this one, but the button, the primary button unpressed. Navigator dot pop until. Let's see if he says something about it.
To load this page again. Then we get this slightly different UI with a text and a button that we can use to go back home. However, if we click on this button, then nothing happens. And that's because the callback of this button assumes that we are still using Navigator 1.0. And instead, we should now use the GoRouter API to navigate to the home page instead. In other words, we should go to the definition of the not found screen, which I created over here. And here we can find that it uses this empty placeholder widget as the body of the scaffold. So we should open this widget as well. And if we scroll down, we should locate this primary button with an unpressed callback.
Here.
And here we should replace all this code that uses the Navigator 1.0 API. And instead, we can type context.goNamed with upRoute.home.name as an argument. And of course, we need to import both GoRouter and our upRouter.dart file. And if we hot reload now, we should now be able to click on this button and...
Okay. No, it's wrong. Sometimes ChatGPT does not know what do I mean. That's why we still need a programmer to tell them what we actually means. So I don't believe, you see it's wrong, right? We don't have named. I don't believe they will completely replace us, right? Dot home dot, now it's correct. Great. Now you save and you go to this not found, go home. Now it's working.
taken back to the home page. And this is a much better experience for the user. In summary, in this lesson we have learned how to handle errors that arise if we try to open a URL that is not recognized. And we have seen that GoRouter already has an error screen that is used by default, but if we want, we can provide our own custom error builder instead. Okay, so let's continue on the next lesson.
Okay, let's continue. Again, if anyone is watching until this time, so thank you so much.
Now that we have converted some of the navigation code to use GoRouter, I want to point out one subtle bug that we have introduced when we made our changes. And to show you what that is, I can open the debug console. And then I can select any of these products on the product page. And as you can see, this takes us to this route. And from here, I could choose the open the shopping cart, which takes us to this route with location/cart. However, if I now press the close button, I can see that I'm now back to the products list, which is not the route that I came from. Because before opening the shopping cart, I was on this product page. So I would expect that if I open the shopping cart and close it again, I should return to the same page where I came from. But right now, this is not what is happening, and I end up on the home page instead. And to understand why this is happening, we can open the shopping cart icon file. And in here, we can scroll down and find this call to context.goNamed with uproute.cart.name. And what happens when we call go or go named is that GoRouter will take us to the route that we have specified by working out the target location from the route hierarchy that we have encoded in the GoRouter declaration. And to show you what I mean, let's go back to the uproute file. And as you can see, here we have defined this cart route. And this is not a sub-route of the product route, but instead it's a sub-route of the home route, which is the root of all routes. And as we can see from the debug console, if we navigate to the product screen, and then we go to the cart from there, then the old route is discarded from the navigation stack. And in some cases, this is what we want, because our intent is to go from whichever route we are on to a completely different route that lives somewhere else in the route hierarchy. And in this kind of scenario, it's okay to use go or go named. But sometimes what we want instead is to just push a new route on top of the current one. And if that is what we want to do, then we should use push or push named instead, which behave much like the corresponding APIs from Navigator 1.0. So let's go ahead and save this file. Then we can hot restart and go back to the home page so we can test this change. Here we can select a product, and this takes us to this route. And from here, we can click on this icon, and this takes us.
So shopping cart icon. What he means is we can change this code into dot push named. So push and go different. Go, we go to a separate route. Push means we go to a route on top of the original one. It's like Navigator one logic, like a pancake step, one after another. So if we change this one, and we will see some differences. Let's test before he shows us. So if from home screen, and we go to a product page, let's add. Oh, it's not implemented yet. Okay, anyway, from this page, we go to the order, and here on the console we can see. So first, we set the initial location here, and get in, and we go to product tool, we go to chart, and there is a pushing chart. Now let's close this one. See, when we close, we go back to the product page, not the home page, which depends on what
shopping cart route. And if we dismiss this page, then we are back to the product page rather than the home page. However, I'd like to point out one important detail, and that is that when we open the shopping cart, then the URL in the address bar has not changed and still points to this product. And this is due to some changes in the way push navigation has been implemented since.
Oh, so now you are in the product page and you click shopping cart. If in that case, because we are using push named, when we click this shopping icon, right, we go to the chart page, but the URL didn't change because this is not dedicated into a like separate URL path in this way. Interesting.
GoRouter 8.0. And after doing some extensive testing in my projects, I've come to the conclusion that we should avoid using push whenever possible, since this does not work well with deep linking, and it also causes some problems when used in conjunction with redirects and refresh listenable, which are two features of GoRouter that we will discuss later on. So as far as we are concerned, we are not going to use push named in this course, and for this reason I can revert this line to go named instead. And by the way, if you head over to my website, you can find this article where you can learn more about the difference between go and push. And I left a link to this article in the notes below. And here you'll also find a section about breaking changes in GoRouter 8.0, which is something that I was mentioning earlier on. Okay, so let's continue on the next lesson. Now that we have converted.
Okay, so he say we're not using this, but we use the go named. But he didn't say how do we use go named to address the problem with go named. That's how we go from, if what I want is from homepage, I go to the product, I go to order. You see this order changed because we use go name. But when I close this page, I want to go back to the product page. How do we do that? He didn't explain. Maybe I'll figure out in the future lesson or reading the documentation, but I want to give myself a note. What should I say? Push named uses is similar will push a page on top of parent page. But will not change the URL, so it does not work well with deep link. Let's save for now. Complete and continue. It's already 1 hour.
In this lesson, we're going to complete our migration from Navigator 1.0 to GoRouter. And as it stands, we have already created these 6 routes along with all their details inside our GoRouter object. But there are still a couple of pages in our app that use Navigator 1.0. And these are this page to leave a review. And also this other page which starts the checkout process by asking the user to create an account. So let's go ahead and add these routes to GoRouter as well. And to start off, we can focus on the route for leaving a review, which is a route that we can only access from the product page. So let's add this as a new value to our enumeration. And then
so we go to app router. This page is fun. Product screen should be fun. App router. So what I mean, in the product we add a leave. Let me go back. Leave review.
Product page. So let's add this as a new value to our enumeration.
Okay. So leave review. The leave review will be on top of product page.
And then we can scroll down to find our product route. And here we can add a list of routes. And
I think I understand better now. So if you want one page on top of another, you have to define a specific routes here. GoRouter, another route, which will be the live.
Inside it, we can copy and paste one of the existing routes. For example, we can choose this route that is used to navigate to the shopping cart, and we can copy all this code and paste it in here. And then we need to modify all these arguments. For example, for the path, we can type review, and then the name should be upRoute.leaveReview.name. And inside the page builder, we want to replace this shopping cart screen with leave review screen, and we want to import it as well. And as we can see, we now have an error because this screen takes a product ID as an argument.
Interesting. Copy, paste, and change this into it will be a page builder. Page builder has a lot of repeated code. You see, we have to write all these again and again. Now we have this called leave review. It counts leave review screen, and we got an error because this page will take a parameter. Before he show us what to do, let's think. The product ID is here. How do we grab this one to here? Because if you can't just right side, I expect to find. Okay, now you're happy. It's not working. Let's see.
And this means that we need to get the product ID from the state params like we have done over here. So let's modify this code by replacing this arrow notation with some curly braces. And then inside it, we can return the material page like this. And then we can copy this line from here and paste it in here to retrieve the product ID. And finally, we can pass this as an argument to the leave review screen widget. And we should also remove this const keyword to make the compiler happy.
Okay. You see, we can't get this. So where do we get the product ID? It's the same from the state, which is the GoRouter state object. So let's say final. Why it tells me this? That's wrong. Return. Still wrong. Oh, yes, this const. My boss always say this stupid const. And you don't know my code is completely correct. Why the compiler shows an error? Because of the const. Okay.
Next, we need to find the code that is used to navigate to this screen. And we can do this by opening the Finder and look for a file called leave review action. And once we open this, we can scroll down to the
leave review action. Scroll down to the build method.
And here we can find the old code that uses the Navigator API. And we can delete this code and we can replace it with context.goNamed, passing upRoute.leaveReview.name as an argument. And of course, we need to import GoRouter as well as upRouter.dart. And like we have done before, we need to pass a path parameters argument, which takes a map with the product ID inside it, like this.
Can automatically
and as we can see, this is valid code because the product ID was passed as an argument to our widget. So at this stage, we can save and hot reload.
Okay.
And we can test the new code by pressing this button to leave a review. And we can see that the URL at the top is updated as expected. And if we open the debug console, we can also see that we have navigated to the correct location. So this part is done.
Wait. I got an error. Let me hot reload. Hot restart. So it's not a product ID, it's ID. Interesting. See? Now it's correct. / leave review. Earlier we got an error.
We now have only one thing left to do, and that is to go back to the app router file and scroll to the top. And over here we can add a checkout route that we will navigate to when.
So after the chart, the order is very important. Although it's enum, the order doesn't matter, but here it's good for the readability to add the name one after another. So on the chart we have checkout. Very good.
In the shopping cart, and we press this checkout button. So let's add a new route for this by scrolling down and finding the cart route over here. And like we did before, here we can add a list of routes, which initially will be an empty list. And then inside it, we need to put a new route, which will represent the checkout page. So let's copy all these lines and paste them in here, and also add.
We can do ourselves. It's similar like a product. It's actually going to be easier because we don't have the ID. The chart, or maybe we have the ID. Build, page builder, and add another. Oh, I get error again. Why do I get error again? Leave review. This will be the shopping chart screen. Let's see.
Closing bracket at the end, and then we can update these arguments. So this part will be checkout, like this, and this name will be upproutes.checkout, like this. And finally, we need to update this child widget, which in this case should become a checkout screen. And of course, we need to import this as well. Then we can save this file. And finally,
So we don't have this, and it will be a const for checkout screen. Loading. I'll restart to see if we have.
go to the definition of the shopping cart screen, because this is the widget from where we navigate to the checkout page. And in here we can scroll down and find the old Navigator 1.0 code, and we can delete it. And instead we can type context.goname and pass upproute.checkout.name as an argument. And as usual, we need to import GoRouter.dart and uprouter.dart. And now we are ready to test this. So we can save our file. And to test this properly, we can start from the product list and select any product. And then from here, we can open the cart screen. And if we click on checkout, we can see that we are now taken to the registration screen, which is how things are intended to work, because the checkout screen itself contains this registration screen. And if we close this and get back to the shopping cart and close this again, we can see that we are back to the product list and not the product page, which is where we came from. And can you think of what is the reason for this? Well, once again, we can see that this line of code goes to the checkout page from the shopping cart screen. And by going to that page, we lose track of the product page, which is where we originally came from. So if our intent is to be able to push one or more routes and always be able to come back to where we came from, then we should use push named in this case as well. So let's save this and do one more test. And now we should be able to open the product page and then select the cart screen and go to checkout. And then we can close this and close again. And as we can see, we are back to where we came from. So once again, this is a little reminder about the difference between go and push. Okay, so let's continue on the next lesson.
He said here we can use push name. Let's see, let's get broken. Let's see here.
In this lesson, we are going to talk about how to pop routes with GoRouter. And if you worked with Navigator 1.0 before, you'll know that if you have more than one route in your navigation stack, you can always call Navigator of context.pop. And this will remove the current route and go back to the previous one. And if you want, you're free to use the GoRouter equivalent of Navigator.pop by simply calling context.pop. And this will work exactly in the same way. And one thing to keep in mind is that Navigator.pop gives you the ability to return a value when you call pop. And this is something that is supported in GoRouter as well since version 6.5.0. So what does this mean for us? Well, if we go back to our project and search for calls to .pop, then we will find all the instances where we call Navigator of context.pop in our project. And in some
somehow I closed to a new one, so we are going to talk about .pop. How do we pop a screen page? And here is all the place where we use the pop. I don't know what's happening here. Maybe because we keep changing a lot of route name here and there, we got error, but everything still works. So we need to change each .pop.
In these cases, we just call pop without a return value, such as in this example inside the email and password sign-in screen. And in other cases, we do use a return value, such as in this helper file, where we show a dialog using the show alert dialog helper function. And inside this function, we want to return a value of true if we select the default text button, or false if we select the cancel button.
Mm-hmm.
And what we said at the beginning of this lesson is that we can use the GoRouter APIs to do exactly the same thing. And as a proof of this, we can replace this code to Navigator of context with just context. And if we import GoRouter.dart, we can see that our code is still valid. And when the code inside this callback will execute, then the dialog will return a value of false to the calling code. So this is quite nice. And for consistency, we should do the same thing here, as well as here and here, like this. And another example where we can pop a value is the account screen, which we can access over here. And as you can see, here we have a logout button.
Okay. So speed of work. So we just delete all and make it simpler .pop with the GoRouter package. That's nice. A lot easier. And save. Now we go to the account screen. Account screen. Here we have something to change. 20. Let's listen.
And when we press this, we get this non-implemented dialog, which shows because we are calling this line over here. So if we wanted, we could remove this line, and instead we could uncomment all this code. And then we could save and hot reload. And what we should see with the latest changes is that if we press on this button, then we get a dialog asking us if we want to log out. And if we press cancel, we remain on the same screen. But if we do this again, and this time we press OK, then we are taken back to the home page. And this happens because inside this show alert dialog function, we have decided to pop a value of true if we press on this text button, which shows a text widget with a value of OK by default. And this means that when we call this function inside the account screen, then we can get the returned value. And over here, we pop the current route only if this value is true. And if we wanted to go one step further, here we could replace this call to Navigator of context with GoRouter of context. And then we could import the GoRouter package. And here we could rename this variable to GoRouter for consistency. And as we can see, our code still compiles, because we can use GoRouter to pop a route if we want. And if we want, we can test this one more time by going to the account screen, and then we can try to log out and click on OK. And as we can see, we are taken back to the home page one more time. So as you can see, it was quite easy to update any calls to navigator.pop with the corresponding GoRouter APIs. And the last place where we need to do this is inside the email and password sign-in screen. And over here, we can replace this call to Navigator of context with simply context, like this.
Okay. But I guess if we just say, let's say we remove this, we should be able just to say context.pop should be the same, right? But it says like, don't you build context across each thing? Interesting. That's why. That is why we define GoRouter here. I have to go soon because I need to pick up my daughter.
And the last place where we need to do this is inside the email and password sign-in screen.
Okay, email and password sign-in screen, which is here. I guess it's easy. Just contact.pop. And import the GoRouter again. So if it's a asynchronous function, like in the account screen, where we are waiting for a dialog to show true and false, then in that case we don't use contact.
And over here, we can replace this call to Navigator of context with simply context, like this. And we need to remember to import GoRouter.dart. In summary, the takeaway is that whenever we want to pop a route, we can call Navigator of context.pop using the Navigator widget in the Flutter SDK. Or alternatively, we can call GoRouter of context.pop or simply context.pop, which is a more lightweight API that uses a build context extension. And this will work exactly in the same way. Okay, so let's continue on the next lesson.
We almost finished this Navigator lesson. There are only a few very short lessons. Yeah, only two small video. I will take a short break and come back soon because I need to pick up my daughter. Okay? Thank you for listening. Okay, I'm back and let's continue with another lesson called Nested Navigation Multiple Tabs.
In this lesson, I want to talk about nested navigation, which is a common UX pattern that is often used to organize multiple pages of your app into separate tabs. And the main idea with nested navigation is that sometimes you have a widget such as a tab bar view or a bottom navigation bar, like in this case, with 2 or more tabs that you can select to show different content pages. And this is a use case that is especially common on mobile, where it's much easier to reach to any interactive elements that are placed at the bottom of the screen. And while nested navigation is a very common requirement, it has not been supported until version 5 of GoRouter, which introduced a new type of route called a shell route. And since this course was first recorded before GoRouter 5 was available, I have not included nested navigation as part of the starter project that you've been using up until now. But instead, I built this small demo that shows how to use shell routing practice. Not only that, but I've also published a separate article about bottom navigation with nested routes using GoRouter and the Beamer packages. And if nested navigation is something that you want to support in your own apps, I recommend that you read this article. However, be aware that at the time I record this, full nested stateful navigation is not yet supported in GoRouter. So if you want to use this feature in your projects, you'll have to wait until this pull request is merged. And in the future, I'll create a separate article and include it in the notes below, so that you can have a reference implementation that you can use. But just to be clear, we will not use nested navigation in the rest of this course. And instead, we will carry on with the project that we have been working on since the beginning. Okay, so let's continue on the next lesson.
Okay, so there's not much information because we are not using it, and we can read these articles. And this is more of the mobile nested. Bottom navigation bar, nested route. Okay. So we almost finished for this episode. There's a little bug we are going to fix. Let's read it first. Exercise. Yeah, there isn't much notes. See what?
We have now reached the end of this section about GoRouter.
Great.
And along the way, we have migrated our entire codebase from Navigator 1.0 to GoRouter using declarative routing. And we have learned a lot of things about this package, including how to integrate GoRouter with the Material App Router API, and how to define our entire route hierarchy declaratively inside the GoRouter object, and how to use the various GoRoute parameters such as path, name, and builder, as well as how to work with dynamic parameters, and how to use the GoRouter build extension to navigate to our widget. And we have also covered the difference between Go and Push. And with that said, we haven't covered everything that there is to know about GoRouter. In fact, there are still some advanced topics that we need to cover with regards to navigation and routing. And these include redirection, as well as some of the topics covered in the advanced section. And we also haven't talked about how to test our routing code. And
so my screen on this section is different with the screen he's showing. Let's see, we have redirect. So how do we do that? Redirect changes the location to a new one based on the application state. Redirect user, yes. So for example, you can say redirect, return to sign in, otherwise no. Top level versus route level redirection. You can also redirect to a named route. And let's see upgrading. What do they say? Upgrading topic, upgrade app using Navigator existing app to go out gradually by starting the home screen and create for each screen you would like to dig linked to your Navigator. So you add this config and you add, this is the same upgrade an app that you named route. Okay, yeah, this means if you were using Navigator 1, how do you change with the GoRouter with 1 and 2? Configuration. Create a GoRouter configuration by calling GoRouter. What kind of configuration do they mean? This is the config, route config already. To configure a path parameter, we covered this one already. And with parameters, this is we get the parameter from the state, so it will pass the URL, get this value. These two must be the same. and GoRouter/users child. Yeah, we cover this as well. Dynamic routing config. What does that mean? Value notifier. A way to update a GoRoute after GoRouter had already been created. This has been done by creating .config to change the GoRoute later, modify the value of the value notifier directly. We didn't do this. The value change is automatically picked up by GoRouter and causes it to repass the current routes. Okay, next is navigation. To add an additional navigator, use shell route. So shell route, this is what Andrea is talking about in a separate article. We are not using this in our app. Initial location, you can set as a different location. Login, you add debug log diagonal as true. We are using this as well. So let's see what else. Navigation, go directly to a destination using contact.go. This is what we already covered, and we add a query parameters. And then this is direct go to URI and path. We don't have this code, but it's similar. We are using the named route. Imperative navigation. GoRouter can push a screen onto the navigator's history stack using contact.push and can pop the current var.pop. Is known to cause issue. So using the link widget. You can use a link widget from the URL launcher package. You go to a separate documentation. We don't use this one, but this URL launcher package is if you want to navigate into a different URL on a web browser. You can do that. Prevent navigation. This one is not compatible, so they still have an issue. Interesting. So this will pop scope. It basically means in app like Andrea, for example, sometimes you want to prevent user to swap to go back to previous screen. You can set this to set some configuration. Imperative navigator with navigation. This one, continue using the navigator to push and pop a page. So we can still use this with the GoRouter. Let's see what else. We read this and web. We have URL strategy, deep linking. When a deep link is received from the platform, GoRouter will display the config based on URL path to configure your Android, iOS. Go deep linking, This one will be a separate. We need to read this. Transition, animation. For this one, we can use transition builder in page builder. That's cool. Typeface safe route. this one means a type GoRouter. What does that mean? We didn't use this, but I thought the named path is already type safe, right? No? Yes, different. We will need to go deep into this. Is using a generated file to see. You can see this.go sun route. So you say sun route and it will go sun route. So you don't need to say contact.go something. Name the route. Yeah, we add this already. It's go named. And then there's error handling, which we also added as well. So we basically covered most content. Very good. So he talks a little bit about redirection. I think it's not covered in this
Before we
course.
can tackle these topics, we need to make some more progress in other parts of the app, in particular with regards to app architecture and state management, which is what we will cover in the upcoming sections. But what we have already covered up to this point should give you enough confidence to use GoRouter in your own apps, and you can use the official documentation as a reference. And also check the notes at the end of this section for some additional resources. And before we continue, there is one tiny change that I want to make, and that is to go back to our app router file and disable the debug log diagnostics flag, because we have now verified that our routing code works correctly, and we don't want our console logs to be too chatty about it going forward. And before we wrap up, there is one more change that I want to make, and that is that in the previous lessons, we have used a page builder argument every time we wanted to show a new route as a full screen dialog. However, what we have also done is to pass this state.page key to the key argument of the material page. And after doing some tests, I've realized that this can cause some problems in certain cases. And I've noticed that by not specifying a key explicitly, then all the problems go away. So what we should do at this stage is to make sure that we no longer do this every time we create a material page inside our route. So we can delete this key from here. And if we scroll down, we can find other examples where we create a material page and pass the key explicitly. And while we could go ahead and update all these routes by hand, I think it's easier if I just share the completed project for this section with you. So please go ahead and open the terminal, and then inside it you can run git reset /hard head to discard any working changes that you may have. And after that you can run git checkout section 02 -finished, like this. And by doing this, you'll have the completed project for this section. And once you have done this, you can verify that we are no longer passing a key to all these material pages. So once again, we will use these latest changes as we go forward in the next section. And before we move on, I'd like to give you an exercise, and that is to grab the starter project that I shared at the beginning of this section and see if you can repeat all the steps that we have covered by migrating the code from Navigator 1.0 to GoRouter. And you can try to do this independently without watching the videos. And I think this will help you to really understand how to work with GoRouter. Alright, so let's continue on the next section where we will discuss the very exciting topic of app architecture.
Okay, that's the end of the Android's Navigator with GoRouter section. So in the end, he mentioned a very last change is to remove this under each route. Let me make this smaller. Under each route, we have a builder, and we build for material. This one should be material as well. Let me add to make it consistent. Material page. and we want to remove all the keys because he said it has some issues, but he didn't explain why we added a key in the first time and why the key is causing an issue and we have to remove it. What kind of issue it is, he didn't explain. We can go deep into it, but at this stage I just want to quickly go through the course first, have an overview of for this, and then we can go back into it to config, why this is complaining. Material page. Isn't it a widget as required? Interesting. Oh, if we want to return a material page, here we need to change it to a page builder. Now it's not complaining. Everything still works. So we can, in the source control, and actually the AI can route charts, update GoRouter package. No, I want to write my own commit, so it will be module 1 and 2 for overview and navigate. Module 1 overview and module 2 for navigator. Update to commit. So if you just watch his video and then at the end of the video and you check out to the new changes, and it's not good learning practice. Although this way takes longer time for lesson, we already spent almost more than 2 hours for this one module. But I hope this really helps to memorize and understand all the code and knows what to do, because we type one by one. When you type it, it helps us to understand better. Sometimes I even handwrite into my notebook. So definitely not only watching video to learn. And that's it for today. And thank you so much if you are still watching. Great. And thank you for your support. And the next lesson we will cover the very exciting topic, the app architecture, where I'm very curious on comparing different architecture, and also I want to showcase the architecture in my own company, that we are using a customized architecture where it's very different from a traditional Flutter app. And my boss say this is a very good one, and I agree, but it's open to discuss. There's always pros and cons, right? So I'll see you next time. And again, thank you very much. I appreciate all your support. Bye bye.